All right, looks like we are live. So, welcome everyone. So, tonight's topic, we're going to probably keep this talk tonight a little bit shorter, but tonight we're going to talk about 3 ways to destroy your happiness, and that you might be doing these without even realizing it. So, we're going to dive into that, and before we do, if this is your first time on my channel, my name is Tina. I'm a happiness coach. I help people with feelings of depression, anxiety, frustration, sadness, any of those difficult emotions that we often find ourselves getting stuck in as we go through life, and helping you transition to a happier place where you feel happier and much more productive and much more supported. So, and I do this by sharing my own personal experience, strength, and hope. And I do this both from a perspective of dealing with past trauma and inner work that I've done myself through my journey, and then also tying in corporate change management techniques that I've used throughout the years and that I've been able to use combined with a trauma type approach. So let's talk about Hey, Con, good morning. I'm from Canada. Where are you from? I imagine because it's really late here, it's probably early for you in the morning over there. It's like 1:14. So you're from Canada as well. Whereabouts? Brampton. Oh, wow. That's my old stomping grounds. I used to live there many, many years. Busy, busy place. So not too far. Okay, so let's focus on the topic so that we can keep this nice and short because it is 1 a.m. already for us. So one of the things that I had learned when I was first starting in my healing journey is a friend of mine had told me a quote that I hadn't heard before. And it goes like this: great minds talk about ideas, mediocre minds talk about events, and small minds talk about people. And why I bring that up is because I remember when I first heard that, and forgive me, I can't remember who does the quote. I'm sure if you look it up, it's not mine personally. Some famous philosopher probably came up with this. I cannot for the life of me remember who. But I remember when I first heard that, it really was eye-opening for me. And I remember thinking, like, the family that I grew up in, we always were talking about other people and what they were doing, and that's where the whole conversation centered around. And when I started dealing with friends that were in university, and as I was preparing to try and go to university, and I was working full time, then I started being around people that talked more about events, like world events or events that they were going to. They were out, it just had this vibe of living their life, and it was much more healthy. And then they also talked about ideas, like bigger ideas of things that they wanted to do to solve bigger problems. And that I always found really, really exciting. And that was also part of what was important for me in healing and growing. So I focused on those kind of things. And so one of the ways that we often will end up sabotaging our happiness is by focusing on other people, what other people are doing. We end up either in gossiping, or we end up talking about other people, or we're worried about what their opinions are of us. And that was a huge piece of my healing journey. And I know every time I fall into that perspective of worrying about what other people are thinking about me, what other people are saying about me, what they're judging about me, that for sure is a guaranteed loss at my happiness. And I catch myself in when I get into that frame of mind, and it's when I am in a much healthier place, when I am happier, I am more focused on understanding not only just what's going on with me. It's not like a selfish perspective, and for people pleasers, it will feel like you are being selfish by doing this. Just go with it. Because if you have ever been called a people pleaser or anybody talks about that kind of stuff, you're safe to err on the side of making a mistake with this, because you have a distorted perspective when you are in that people-pleasing mode anyway. And so for us, something that seems like it's earth-shattering, it's a big boundary, it's us being completely selfish, what ends up happening is other people are like, did you even set a boundary yet? Like, what's going on? So focusing on the opinions of other people and what they have to say about how you're living your life, the decisions that you're making, the things that you're doing, even if you are making mistakes, even if you are messing things up, I can promise you, it's not an incorrect path. It is something that you need to go down that. You need to be able to learn a lesson from that path. And I remember early in my recovery journey of understanding that trying to stop somebody from making a mistake and trying to prevent them from making mistakes, yes, we want to do that, but when we try to do it to the point where we're trying to control, then that is not a good thing, and we're actually enabling them, we're actually preventing them from learning the very things that they need to learn in order to get to that next level. So, and nothing quite gets our attention like pain, and the pain of making mistakes, right? Now, obviously, if somebody's going to run out into traffic or something like that, you want to stop them and go, oh, well, you'll learn your lesson. No. You want to at least try to call it out, at least try to warn them about something. But if you repeat it more than once, then you are now falling into the realm of controlling. Right? Now, sometimes you could try to address it again when it's come up again, but if you harp on things, then that's when you start going down a different path, and then you start becoming, they start becoming your focus. So that is a guaranteed way of ending up destroying your own happiness, your own peace of mind, your own sense of well-being, is by focusing on the opinions of others and focusing on what everybody else is doing, instead of focusing internally, what's going on with us and what is it that we need to do, what are the steps and action items that we need to take to move ourselves forward, to make our lives happier, right? The second thing that I want to talk about is making our decisions based on an energy of fear versus an energy of love. So when I talk about fear and love, if this is your first time on my channel, fear is a cry for love, and love is an expression of love. So it's a giving energy, and it's fear is more that receiving, needing energy, right? So when we can shift our energy from a place of fear to a place of love, we're in a place of strength, abundance, we have energy to give to others. And there's nothing wrong when we fall into that state of fear, because we all need to receive. It's just being aware that our decisions are probably not going to be the strongest if we make them out of a place of fear. And so the first sign of fear is usually anger and frustration and, hey, what are you doing? Like, why are you doing that? So it's usually something that causes a fear within us that causes us to have that fight reaction. And so when I think of this kind of example, I remember when I first learned this lesson, one of the things that I had done was actually in a business environment, deciding whether or not I stayed with the company that I was at or if I move on to a new company. And it was a really difficult decision, because I did love the people that I work with, and most of the time I do love the people that I work with, and that's a very difficult thing for me to let go of those attachments. But And anytime that I've ever left a job, it's not because I was like, fuck that place, I can't stand them, they suck, they're horrible, blah, blah, blah. Even when there were challenging times, even though there were some people maybe I didn't get along with, it was never a fuck you, I hate you, I'm never, like, your company sucks. No, I've never ever left a job like that. Whenever I've gotten to a point of making a decision whether or not I'm moving on from something, it's not coming from that angry, fear-based energy. It is more coming from a perspective of love, of that this is the right thing to do for me, and that I am doing this for my own growth, for my own best interest, and not a matter of trying to punish anybody. It's like, I'm not doing this to you, I'm doing this for me. Right? So that is the difference in between that decision. If you're making a decision trying to get back at somebody, to extract revenge, or to show somebody or prove somebody something, any of those kind of things, then you're not making that decision out of a clear mind and a clear heart. You're focusing on a fear-based energy because you're in that fight mode, rather than you're looking at it from a perspective of, you know what, this is the best decision for me. And actually, I also usually say a prayer to ask for what is the best decision for everybody involved, not just me, but I want it to be a win-win for everyone within that's going to be affected by the decision. And so when I do that, sometimes by doing that and saying that prayer, what it does is it opens up an invitation for delays, because maybe maybe we're ready, but somebody else has got to get some other shit together, right? Kind of thing. And so that is kind of how. Thank you so much for the roses, Stephen. What's your profile? Profession. Yes, I'm a happiness coach, so and an artist as well. So I do those two things, and they tie together. So you can see some of my art in the background, and I've been selling quite a few pieces lately. I'm really excited about that. And I use those as the thumbnails on my YouTube channel. So if you guys are checking out this live and you're just starting to hear the things that I'm talking about and you want to know more, you can check out my YouTube channel, Coach Tina B. Thank you so much, Stephen. Coach Tina B 125 is my YouTube channel. All the recordings get uploaded on there, so there's over 100 videos. You can check them out. Okay, so making that decision based on love instead of fear is going to serve you and the people around you so much better than if you are in that fear lack mentality kind of decision. So and sometimes when you do that prayer, like I just mentioned, of just asking God to make sure that this is a win for everybody involved, that can be really challenging. It can be, you know, testing your patience. I am from Canada, Ontario, Canada. How about you, Stephen? So that can really test your patience and make you question whether or not, hey, Carvello, hi, nice to see you on Facebook. So I got both Facebook and TikTok interactions today. That's awesome. So there have been times where when I've gone and made decisions based off of fear, of trying to avoid things, or trying to think that, oh, you know what, if I don't deal with that here, then I can go over here and everything's going to be fine. If I'm in this new place, if I'm in this new job, if I'm in this new situation, then everything's going to be amazing, everything's going to be perfect, and that's usually called a geographical cure. Unfortunately, we take ourselves with us, and if we didn't get the lesson from the previous situation, then not only are we going to have that lesson represented, but now the volume is going to be turned up because we weren't paying attention enough, and now it's got to be a bigger challenge to get our attention and allow us to learn whatever lesson it is we need to learn from that. And maybe it's a lesson of we need to learn to value ourselves more. We need to learn to speak up more. We need to learn to be patient, to be stronger, whatever it is that we need. But the minute that we learn whatever lesson that we were supposed to learn from that, all of the challenges, all of the struggle, all of the frustration that comes with that situation dissolve instantly, because we now can see it from a perspective of love, and we can see it from a perspective of how this was for our own best interest, and it changes things. And even if it was something that was completely terrible that happened to us, then it isn't a matter of saying, oh, well, that happened to us so that we could learn the lesson. No, no, no. It's a matter of us taking our power back, going, no matter what shitty thing that you did to me, I'm going to find a way to turn this into a positive. I'm going to choose to turn this into a win, no matter what. And by doing that, we are choosing a path of love. And love always has to be a choice. It is not, and love is an action, and it's a choice, and it is not just a feeling, and it's not all sunshine and rainbows. In fact, true love is hard as fuck because it means having to turn away our own selfishness and our own desires of what we want, and it means putting somebody else's well-being as well as our own into the consideration and finding what solution is best for all of us. And that can be really, really challenging. And so choosing a path of love and light is not an easy path, right? It is definitely not an easy path, but is so worth it. It is so worth it. Okay? And then the third thing that you could be doing that could destroy your happiness is focusing on things that we're not able to change. Focusing on the things that are wrong rather than focusing on where do I have the power to change something. And we always have some sort of way that we can change something about the situation. And most of the time, it's changing our perspective about the situation. So I remember when I first started learning this, I remember hearing, I can't remember if it was a speaker or if it was somebody that I've read something about it, but they were talking about how sometimes people get really impatient when they have to wait, whether that's in a lineup or in a doctor's office, and my God, we have to wait so long. I avoid going to the doctor a lot of times just because of the length of time that you have to wait. And then you're in there for like 30 seconds and you're just like, wow, I had to wait hours for this. But not going to complain on that. So focusing on the things that you can't change, and it's like when you focus on waiting and you're like, you get frustrated and upset, and I'd watch people like, that they just pop off on the receptionist at the doctor's office, losing their shit, getting all mad, getting their blood pressure up and getting frustrated about things. And I remember saying the most successful people know how to wait effectively. And I remember at first I was confused by that. I'm like, what do you mean by wait effectively? And this was back before you had cell phones, so you couldn't really distract yourself in the waiting room. You just had to sit there and maybe read a magazine or something like that. Or the posters on the wall. But it was a matter of, what can I do in this time? What can I focus on in this time? And it's accepting the thing that I can't change, which is I can't speed this particular timeline up. I can't force the doctor to go any faster. I am in this situation where I do need to wait, so how can I make this the most productive time while I wait? And so sometimes I would take a notebook with me and I'd jot down ideas. I would use that for journaling time. I would, if I had somebody that was with me in the waiting room or whatever, I would use that as an opportunity to connect with the person that I'm with and to talk and enjoy my time with them rather than focusing on, oh my God, they're never on time. I'm always having to wait. Blah, blah, blah. Like, you know, you just like lose it. And it's like, why waste that kind of energy focusing on something that you can't change? I mean, if it goes extensive, you can go up and you can ask, but you do that in a way that's productive, not in a way that is like all pissy, right? So it's like that was just a way of wasting energy. So it's focusing on what is right about the situation, what can I do to turn this situation, even if it isn't ideal, what can I do to flip this into a situation that actually is beneficial and serves me? And usually that starts with changing our perspective around it. And when you change your perspective, that in and of itself is a miracle. And so those are three things that can really cause a great deal of unhappiness in our lives if we are too busy focusing on what everybody else is doing instead of what it is that we need to do for ourselves. And even if those opinions of people are harsh against us, maybe they're judging us, or worse, we're judging others and we're gossiping and we're focused on everything somebody else is doing. And making our decisions based on an energy of fear versus love. And then the third one is focusing on things that we can't change. Because there's a lot of things we can't change in this life. And there's a lot of things that we actually do have power over. And when we start focusing on the things that we actually have control over, that we can do, and we start putting our energy into that, then that will start bringing a sense of happiness and a sense of fulfillment, and not allowing the doubts of others and the opinions of what they think we should be doing, what they think we should be focusing on. Now, I'm not saying just block everybody out, that you never take in their advice or their guidance, but go by your own internal instinct of what it is that you need to do. Even if that's going to be a mistake, then that is a mistake that you're needing to learn in order to get the lesson. So, guys, with that, we're going to wrap things up fairly quickly tonight. I hope you found that was helpful. No, I'm sorry, I don't know anything about NFTs other than they're graphic arts and they're worth some money, and there's cryptocurrency. But that's the extent of my knowledge. So, maybe one day I'll get into making some artwork for it and sell something like that. So, but guys, I hope you found that helpful. If you're just jumping in, go to my YouTube channel, Coach Tina B 125. Click on the subscribe button, and you will get notified when I've uploaded the live training and of this video, so that you can go back, you can rewatch it, and hopefully take something from it and apply it to your life to help you change and help you start creating more happiness in your life. And number one is reduce some of those things that you might be doing that are causing you some unhappiness. And just by stopping those things, and you're going to find that you're going to have an increase of energy, you're going to have an increase of happiness and well-being in your life. So, guys, with that, we're going to wrap it up nice, short, sweet. Oh, I didn't ramble on forever. So, have a great night, and we will see you again tomorrow. Take care. Bye.